Hey guys, Joe here with the Portland Seattle Coffee Gear. Today we are talking about burrs and burr grinders. Why do we need them in coffee? The answer is because. So basically, reliable coffee requires a reliable foundation. I am one to say that the burr grinder is the most important part of the system. Nothing else matters as long as you're starting with a burr grinder. That's your foundation. It means you're chopping your coffee the same size and the same shape every single time. There are certain things that make burr grinders better and certain things that make them worse. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. So basically, that standard blade grinder is really an inaccurate way to make coffee the same shape. Physics is working against you if you're using a blade grinder. Yes, they are inexpensive. Yes, they get the job done. But they make it hard to get the job done 2 days in a row, even if you develop a little maraca shake. It's like, yeah, I always do 10 quarter shakes, do a little side turn and a barrel roll the exact same way every single time. You're actually not cutting your coffee the same way every single time. As that blade spins, physics dictates that the inside is spinning faster than the outside because it has less distance to spin. Because of that, the stuff that's trapped near the blade is going to get chopped a lot near the center. The axle is going to get chopped more than the stuff on the outside. Because of that, we now have a wide range of coffee that is not our intended grind. It's either too coarse or too fine, but we can't really separate that out without spending a lot of money on some very nice sieves. So we just dump it all in our brewing method and go. That really, really fine stuff is going to dissolve and break apart a lot quicker than the coarse stuff, which will dissolve and break apart slower than your intended grind size. You end up with wildly different flavors, usually an over-extraction because we will always taste the gross stuff more than the good stuff. If it's there, it's kind of like trying to put white paint into black. It requires a lot more to cover up and manipulate. So we use food mills. We use grinders. On the market today, or burr grinders, I should say, we have two kinds of burrs that are available to home and commercial buyers. There's a conical burr, which is smaller on one end, bigger on the other. It's a cone. Gravity feeds our coffee into our burr. There's a center burr that spins nice and slow, which pushes our coffee against the outside burr, and those blades fracture it along stress lines that the blades put into it. It cracks and falls down to the next size blade, until it reaches the void between the teeth when it falls through, giving you a much more reliable grind size. The other burr shape is a flat disc burr grinder. Same thought process, except Superman or the Hulk came over and just opened up that conical burr, so it lays flat. Our coffee goes in, hits a base with little pushing arms on it that then push our coffee into the grinder. It gets chopped up and slowly moves further and further down the burr. A burr grinder in general is better than a blade grinder. Conical burr versus flat disc, it really doesn't matter. You're getting the job done. I'm a fan of flat disc burr grinders. I think they are slightly more accurate because, our coffee is an ovoid shape. As it falls down, if it's in a cone and it's the right direction, it'll just get sheared, and sometimes you'll end up with a big chunk that manages to fall all the way through the grinder. A flat disc grinder, gravity is working not with you and not against you, but it's more neutral. So those pushing arms move our coffee through our grinder, which makes it easier to get a more standard sized grind. Outside of that, you have the last big bit of contention in grinders, which is stainless steel versus ceramic. And for home use, it doesn't matter, or at least I think it doesn't. Ceramic is harder than steel, but more brittle. So a ceramic burr will stay sharper longer. It has a different thermal inertia than steel does, so it heats up differently, which is great, which if I'm grinding a lot of coffee, I want something that's going to heat up slower, which ceramic does, and stay sharper longer, which ceramic does. The problem with that is, in most home use instances, it's kind of sort of pointless. If I'm grinding 150 pounds of coffee in one go, totally. Get ceramic, get something with a removed motor so you don't have any heat radiating that way, but you're not going to burn your coffee beans while you're grinding them with a Burr grinder. I just don't think it's physically possible with the way that they work with what's available. Steel is a little bit softer, heats up differently. Heat actually radiates away from the point of start with steel. And mostly steel burrs are great because they're cheap. They get laser cut into place, which is really cool, so you don't really need to sharpen them because they're easy to replace. A ceramic burr has to be molded that way, so they tend to be a lot more expensive. And if you're one of those people that buys single bean origins from crazy, wacky, awesome specialty roasters, you might end up with a rock in your coffee. It's an agricultural product. It happens. You're less likely to break a steel burr than you are a ceramic burr and need to replace them. That's it. Burr grinders. Plain and simple. Ciao.